I've been asked by a few people to talk about shame, and I've called this clip Toxic Shame because shame, not all shame, it's a deep subject and a massive subject. Not all shame is toxic, but that's what I wanted to concentrate on in this little clip. Quite often people get mixed up between guilt and shame. So guilt is guilt is something that you've done. Okay, the difference is guilt is something that you've done. So I'm driving down the road, I'm doing 40 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and I get caught on camera. I can argue all I want, but the evidence is there. I'll go to court and I'm guilty. So that's what guilt is. Okay, it's something that I've done. Shame is much deeper than guilt. Shame becomes about who you are. It's really deep, and I've called this toxic because shame eats away at us. Shame is about who I am. It goes to my very core. It's things that shame is something that I don't want other people to know about. And if I'm ashamed of who I am, I don't like who I am. That's when we create ego. We create other personalities that we put out into the world, because if I don't like who I am, I don't want you to see who I am. So I put these fences up, I create these other personalities, and that's the bit that I put out to the world, which is false. At some point that's going to come crashing down. So the answer, the answer to shame, and this is hard, but the answer to shame is to get it out into the light. I've realised that shame doesn't like the light. Talking to people that have been in AA, and I've said before, I love what I know and what I've heard about AA. They're big believers. They say it's your shame and your secrets that'll destroy you. They're toxic, so they believe in talking about them. So, you know, for me, working as a therapist, people come and talk to me. Talking about it, getting out into the light really helps. And Alan's just come on and said shame is also cast by others, which is a really good point. Most of our shame we pick up from the time we're children, and we pick it up from our parents, teachers, people like that. They're putting their fear and their shame onto us. So quite often it's not even your shame, it's not your fear, but it's realising that. And when you realise that, you can actually give it back. Metaphorically, you can give it back. It also comes from traumatic relationships. Quite often when people are in abusive relationships and they experience some type of trauma, then quite often what can be left is a sense of shame, for lots of different reasons. So, you know, like I said, this is a big topic. Shame, again, unfortunately, it's natural. It's an emotion like fear and guilt. We all feel it, but it's realising it and not marinating in it, not getting stuck in it. And like I said, getting it out there. Talking to someone. It doesn't have to be a therapist, it doesn't have to be somebody like me, it can be somebody you trust. But in my experience, getting it out into the light, getting it out into the open, dissolves it. Shame is very secretive, it doesn't want to be exposed. But if you don't expose it, like I said, I've called this toxic shame, it'll eat away at you. So for me, it's about exploring it, exploring all the different parts of our personalities, the parts that we might not like, the shameful parts, the dark parts, the fearful parts, but we've got to look at those because they're all part of who we are. Once we start looking at them and shining light on them, then they start to disintegrate. There's different ways of doing this. I might have felt shameful over something happened to me as a kid, but it's that realisation that I'm not a kid anymore. I can change my feelings around those events, my thoughts around those events as an adult. And I'm talking about this, but I know it's really hard because sometimes that stuff is imprinted on our hard drive. So sometimes you've got to get right into the hard drive and start picking it to pieces and change the way you think about it. So, like I said, this is a big topic. One of the best books I've ever read on it, if people want to read more about this, it's called Healing the Shame That Binds. So Healing the Shame That Binds, and it's written by a guy called John Bradshaw. It's I read that book years ago, and it had a big effect on me. Really good book. So if you want to find more about shame, there's also a lady called Brené Brown, who does a lot on shame. She's good. She does TED Talks. So the information is out there. Alan's come back on again and said, having lived my life openly as a liberated adult, shame has been cast out of my way. I can't see the rest of your message here. I'm just going to touch the screen. I can't see it. Sorry, Alan. But shame is one of those things that can come back. So explore it, dive into it, get it out in the open, talk to people about it. Obviously, you've got to be careful how you do this. Talk to people that you trust. But, you know, a couple of people have asked me about shame recently, so I just wanted to do a really quick, and this is a really quick talk on it. It's an important topic, and maybe we can go into it at length another time. Okay, thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.